We're back. Tales from the Dark Side, T.A. Mahoney Company. We bringing the weirdos to you. I got another one. One of my buddies here gave him a couple shirts today, and he liked that where the weirdos come to mingle. I said, since you're in here and you're coming on air, you got to be a weirdo. You admitted it. You just came in.
I just take what I got.
How you doing today? Captain Richard Seward is our guest today. How you doing, buddy?
Doing real well, real well. I'll tell you what, this has been the best year for fishing that I've had since I've been guiding.
That long, huh? How long have you been guiding, Richard?
Over 20 years.
Legally? I always give Richard a hard time. He's by the book, Richard. I can remember him. You've come in the store forever. I mean, it seems like your history about being here in Tampa, you were born and raised right here in Tampa?
And I've been shopping at T.A. Mahoney since, I would say it was in the late 50s.
Wow, back before sliced bread.
No, wholesome bread was out there.
What brought you into Mahoney's the first time?
I needed a part.
Part for the boat, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was a part for the boat. I think it was a prop. And I walked into the shop, and one of your relatives, he says, go back to the third row and then turn down that row, and there's a bunch of tires stacked on the left-hand side. Move those tires out of the way, and you'll find what you need right there.
And it was there?
It was there.
That's hard to believe. That place, my uncle and my dad both just knew where everything was. I had come back, like I was talking to you earlier, we were down there on 13th Street, right across from the aquarium.
Yep.
And I came back, and a guy wanted something, and I asked my dad where it was, and he said, well, I hadn't been, he'd retired for a little bit, and he'd come back when I came back, and he said, over there by the nail bin down in the back, there used to be one back there. Well, I went back there, and there it sure was. It was there, and I bet you it was there from the early 50s because it had my grandfather's writing on it, and we're talking early 90s, mid 90s. That this part was still sitting in there that long. So, yeah, definitely, I know you've been coming in a long time and born and raised right here in Tampa, right?
Well, actually, I was born up north.
How far up north? Like Dade City?
Panama City, Florida.
Yeah, that's way up there.
I told you I was born up north.
And then would you come down here on a raft?
Oh, no. Come down on a train.
I got you.
My mother gave me away to my aunt. And then my aunt took care of me. Well, actually, my mother had my sister was a baby. And my aunt said, well, I'll take him home with me. And that way, because Dad was coming home on his work.
Right.
Or coming back to Tampa with his work. Next thing I know, they were in Beaumont, Texas.
Oh, wow.
I did go see them after about 3 years.
Yeah.
My aunt took me out there on a train. Like I said, it was...
That was way back. That was a way to travel back then, too, though, a train.
And if you had two choices, a train or a bus.
Yeah, or stay at home.
Or stay at home.
You've been in Florida a long time, fishing your whole life?
I've got a picture of me. I guess I was about 7 or 8 years old. And I'm waiting for them to put the motor on the boat because I couldn't lift the motor up to put it on the boat. A little 5 horsepower something.
Right.
You put a rope on the top.
Yeah.
And you pull.
And that's how you got going, and they were helping you put it on, and off you went.
Off I went.
What was it like fishing here back then? Lots of fish?
Oh, it's just, I tell people this. I really started fishing heavy, I guess, when I was in my teens. My dad bought me I had a boat, but it was just a small boat, and it was mainly on a lake.
Right.
But my dad bought me a Carter craft. It was an all mahogany boat.
Wow.
Pioneer Tire sold them. I don't even think they're around anymore.
Yeah, I remember Pioneer Tire. My dad did business with them.
And I started catching fish, and then I got talking to one of the fish houses.
Yeah.
And he said, if you ever get any extras, bring them by, but get you a license. He said, all you got to do is go down and get a license. So I went down and got a license. It cost me $2.50, and he gave me 5 cards that 5 of us could fish off of that one license.
Commercial fish.
Commercial fish.
Yeah.
And so
There was no requirements to sell fish back then. It was
No.
just buy the license and
buy the license, you
sell
could
what
sell.
you want.
And one year, a guy come up to me and asked me, he says, because we always talked about our season was September, October, November, December, and January. That was the season
And for all fish?
for
or-
trout.
For trout, okay.
No, I'm talking about that's the season where we caught enough that we could sell them.
Sell them, I got you.
And the guy asked me, he said, how much have you caught this year? I said, I think around 10,000 pounds.
Wow, and you wonder why we can only keep 2 or 3 of them. It's because you screwed it up all them years. Well, that was a way of life back then too, and it was.
Well, there was so many trout,
Sure.
and it was like snook.
Yeah.
You threw snook away,
Right.
and a lot of people killed them because they ate anything: trout, redfish, small trout.
A lot less pressure back then. Like, how many commercial guys would you see out there trout fishing on an average day during those months?
You would see a mullet fisherman. Not many people went after trout because you couldn't catch enough to make what you could make off the mullet.
Yeah. Now, did you run gill net for trout?
No, I caught everything on
Rod
artificial lures. I didn't even know what bait was.
And you know, thinking back to when I first met you and remember you coming in the store, you were involved in a jig company, Bubba's Jigs at
Bubba's
the time.
Jigs.
Yeah, and that was, how'd that come about?
Well, Vance Tice
Great guy.
is a great guy, and he had this idea, and he had another guy that was making them for him. So I got to know him. His name was Noel Noggle, and so he made us a bunch of molds, or had a bunch of molds made.
For the tails or the heads?
Heads.
Yeah.
We never made the tails. They were just
It was easy to buy them and plentiful.
well, Noel would make the molds for him, and he gave them to this guy, and this guy was making them for us. But I ran into a company, and I was buying them all from them for a while.
Just the heads already done?
No, the tails.
The tails, okay.
Because I could buy the tails. I had to buy around 3,000 per order,
Right.
but I would always order more than that.
And that was a pretty big company back then, it seemed like. When I came back to the store, a lot of notoriety. You were around. You're pretty much at every tackle shop there was.
Well, everybody knew me from how many fish I caught.
Right.
And then the CCA, when that come about, that really helped me.
Now,
But
you're one of the founding people for that, for this area? Or
I was one of the founding people. I was at the first meeting with Frank Sargent, Larry Hart, and there was 2 or 3 other guys. I went to the first meeting that the Texas guys had here.
Right. Was that in Tampa or was that in Florida? Was it
It was in Tampa, and it was at the Tribune.
right there on the river?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got it started, and it just, it bloomed into something big.
Yeah, it kind of grew from there. Well, it makes me remember that, and I remember you were into CCA quite a bit when I'd first met you. Of course, I was a lot younger, and my thoughts on conservation weren't really in line with other people's. I hadn't got my share yet. I used to run around and try to catch the biggest snook, and I'll never forget, we had talked about it earlier there, and it was quite a few years ago. It's definitely past statute of limitation. But how long has it been since they put them no motor signs, or what exactly? I never even read the sign. What did the sign say? Was it no motor, no combustible engine? I didn't read them, but
No, only idle speed.
Oh, it was an idle speed area that I blew out. Well, I can tell you, I was young. Richard was out there. It was a day we were talking about it earlier. I was going to go to Tarpon Key. I just built this boat. It was that Aquasport I'd put together, and I had a trolling motor coming for it. I just hadn't had time to put it on yet. So I was going to go out and
That's his story.
yeah. I said, well, let's go fishing. I can put the trolling motor on some other day. I think I might have taken a broom handle and a box and taped it to each other and kind of stood up there like I had a trolling motor, but idled my way in. Well, this particular day, there was a bad storm early. It was probably 10, 11 o'clock, and it went to about 2 or 3 o'clock. So it's perfect time to go is what I'm thinking. You know, everybody's done pushed off the water. Nobody's going to be out there. Time to go creeping. So I go out there, and it was a super high tide, too.
Yep.
I remember that. And I went way back up into Tarpon Key where there was some signs, but I didn't happen to read them. And me and my buddy were in there just wearing them out. And we were up there on that shoreline, and I see a boat coming across. Where'd you even run from that day? Little Manatee?
No, I come out of O'Neill's.
Oh, you were at O'Neill's,
Yeah.
and you met, well, it was him and Frank Sargent. Well, at the time, Frank Sargent was the outdoor writer for the Tribune and everybody else in the nation, right? He was the man, so to speak. And I see Richard pull up, and he's got Frank Sargent in the boat.
And I used my trolling motor.
Now, how far? You were a good ways away, quarter mile. He didn't even know I was there, I don't think, did you?
No, I see you.
Did you see me up there? He didn't know who it was because it was a new boat, new paint on it. You could not tell. I mean, and that was one of the things back in the day we could always tell. And even now, it's a little bit harder now, but you could always tell who's who by what boat they were in.
Yep.
You know, like the Dorados, you knew it was Ernie or Wisner, or, you know, and you see another boat, you know, Rodney Martin, the Pathfinder, you were in the Carolina Skiff all the time. So you kind of knew by the boat, but I had a new boat, and I knew neither one of them guys knew what kind of boat I had. So I had to get out of there. The water was dumping. He wasn't going anywhere. He's over there catching fish, and I'm going, man, we got to get out of here, and there's only one way out, and it's right past them. So one thing I did have in the boat was a stereo. And I don't know if you remember hearing the stereo, but I had it about as loud as it could go. I told whoever was with me, I said, listen, these guys in the boat, I didn't even have numbers on the boat. That's
Nope.
how freshly this boat was redone. And you got 30 days with paperwork, so it wasn't like I was illegal, but I was definitely in a gray area, I'd say.
Yeah.
And I come ripping out of there. I told the guy with me, do not look at those guys. Cover me up. I had him standing on my right side so they couldn't tell who I was, and we just ripped. I mean, I was probably, 100 yards from you.
But I know who it was. I
Did
never
you?
told Frank, though.
Yeah, I was worried about getting the big phone call and having something written up in the paper about me blowing out at some area they're trying to protect over there. And there wasn't supposed to be anybody out that day, but man, fun times back then. A lot less people, a lot less pressure.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it was on an average day, I had a 48-quart Coleman cooler.
Yeah.
I quit fishing when I filled it up. Some days I would have it filled up by 10 o'clock.
Now that's commercial or guiding?
No, I wasn't guiding then. I didn't start guiding for years after that.
Yeah.
When I got my cooler full, because they had to put a little ice on the bottom and a little ice on top
Right.
sometimes.
Or
But-
you'd have to drive fast, one of the two, get them there.
I did both.
Yeah.
But there was millions of trout, and redfish were so thick, they were a pain.
And that was all over Tampa Bay or that north
The
end?
north part of Tampa Bay is where I did 90% of my fishing, and 90% of my trout come from Baycrest Park.
Safety Harbor?
No, Baycrest Park was It's the first subdivision. They
Oh
built.
yeah, yep. As you go in,
You could
the
go
other
in,
way.
and then Double Bayou, and then Rocky Creek, or Rocky Creek, then Double Bayou.
Never Cooper Point or any of that Alligator Lake where it outflows when it rains hard and all them big snook get in there. Have you ever been there?
I stayed away from the snook.
Oh yeah,
You couldn't sell them.
right.
Nobody would buy them. They were soap fish.
And then we figured out they were good to eat. Stuff them
Well,
full of stone crab.
when you learn, you take the skin off of them, where that's where all the bad stuff is at.
Right. Adds a little more flavor to them, doesn't it?
I tell you what, my wife baked one time with the skin on it. I told her to throw the pot away that she baked it in.
It was bad, huh?
Oh, it was terrible.
I've never had a bad snook, but I've never left the skin on either. You know, I've always.
My mother
skinned
always cooked them, but she always skinned them.
them. Yeah.
My mother was actually a better snook fishing than me.
Yeah, 'cause she had to eat. That was the thing back then, right? They were all hustling. Whatever it took, whether it be a garden or a fish or a deer or squirrel. I've eaten plenty of squirrels here in Florida
Yeah, but
growing
you
up.
didn't. We ate squirrel too, but we didn't eat them because we had to. My dad always made good money
Yeah. And what kind of work did he do?
dredging.
Yeah, I think my dad had told me that he was on a dredge boat.
He worked for my dad for a while,
Yeah, and you were a little kid running around,
Yep.
he said.
and but it was a
Y'all might have been dredging Mariner over there at the
we
time.
did Mariner.
One of them canals.
We pumped in the East Causeway out to the Franklin Bridge.
for them to build that.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
dug all them deep holes on either side of
You
it.
still remember where all of them are?
Yeah.
Yeah. You still hit them the
But-
amount?
After a lot of them filled up with mud.
Right.
And once they fill up with mud, they're no good anymore.
Well, and you get that wind blowing in from like out of the southwest, it just hammers that side of the bay, you know.
And
I mean, it
all
gets
that mud goes in there and
Yeah.
settles on the bottom, and it just settles.
well, and you see them dredging canals all the time and passes. They get that pass dredged. It's beautiful that year, and then once we get through hurricane season in the winter, where you have all those blows, that pass changes, you know.
All you got to do is look at Florida.
Yeah.
Florida's moving from north to south. How do you think Florida got so long? Florida hasn't always been this long.
Oh, I know it. They dredged it in, is what they did.
All you got to do is go down to Key West and look at the marker. The marker that says this is the end of the United States.
Yeah. Is that where it used to be? That was the tail end.
That was
buoy?
where the tail end of Florida was.
Oh wow! I didn't know that. I thought they just stuck that buoy there to get
No,
the
no.
photo op.
No, that was a.
I know Cam went down there. Our producer here had to get some alone time or something. Went fishing a couple days, then they had to go down there and watch 90210 or Idol or one of them shows, and they were down in the Keys. But yeah, that was that's something else there. Hey Richard, we got a break coming up. We're going to take a break. We're going to get right back to talking fishing, Tampa history, some more stories. We may hear about that dock, the famous Marine Patrol dock.
I don't know about a dock.
We'll see y'all shortly. We're back. T.A. Mahoney, Tales from the Dark Side. Got a buddy of mine, been around a long time, Captain Richard Seward. What's up, Richard?
Not much. Everything in the world but one thing.
Yeah, we can't talk about that. I don't think. I don't want to talk about that. That's for a different internet show. We'll save that one for something else. But yeah, it's been good. I appreciate you coming in today and talking with us and sharing some memories and some things that we didn't even, maybe some of us didn't even know. But I kind of want to get into, more getting closer to now. You said you've been a guide like 20 years. And before the break, I kind of talked about it a little bit. You had something happen to you, and we've all had tough stuff on the water happen, but you had something happen that I truly am glad you survived. I mean, that was a shocker for everybody because Richard is Buy the book, Richard. I fished with him before. If you remember, we'll jump off that real quick. We went with Terry Tomlin, me, you, and Terry Tomlin. He did a little story, and everybody knows how I like to joke around. And I was catching fish, and I was counting them. And, I mean, I was putting it on Richard, I thought. Well, then the old timer goes out and catches the biggest one of the day. You remember that? And that's the one we put in the Tribune there. It was St. Pete Times or one of them. Terry was a great guy, very unfortunate. He left us too soon. He was a great outdoor rider, a great person, and really knew a ton of stuff. And I really got to know those kind of people, Richard. You said you were involved with CCA, and a lot of those people grooved with the CCA, and over the years, our support, your support for us, it's really worked out well, and it's all for the better. But let's get to what happened at the dock. Take us through what happened that day.
Well, I had just come off a charter, and Vance Tice called me, and he said, "Do you have any bait left?" I was going in to drop off my customers.
And you left from where? Gandy?
Gandy. Yep. So I said, "Yeah, I've got some. I'll drop my people off." He said, "Can you bring it over to Hula Bay for me?" I said, "Yeah, I'll be there in a few minutes."
So lazy captain don't want to come over and get his stuff from you. He's going to make you bring it to him. Vance Tice. So I'm sit there and have a cocktail instead of get the old man to run over.
So I'm heading over there. And
you being the nice guy, say, "Sure, I will. I'll be there in a minute."
And so I head over, and there was a glove sitting up on right in front of my console. Well, it blew off the front, and when it did, I went to grab it before it went overboard.
So it like went down on the floor of the
boat? It went down on the floor. So when I reached down on the floor, I turned the steering.
Without knowing it?
Without knowing it.
How fast were you going?
I was lucky there. I wasn't going but about 20 miles an hour when I hit it. And that boat would go a lot faster than that. But I steered right into the...
Just kind of curved right into it?
Curved right into it. The first piling on the Marine Patrol dock.
Well, that's getting their attention.
And I hit it dead center. There was a mark where you tie your boat off to, winding it in.
Right.
There was a mark on the piling that I broke off. You could see right where I hit it, dead center.
Now the boat came to a stop?
No, it went up. I took out the second piling.
Wow.
And then it went up onto the main dock, and that's where it stopped.
And where were you at the whole time?
I was flying through the air. I come head first into the front deck, which front deck come down like that.
Right, that bulkhead?
Well, I hit the bulkhead head on.
Wow.
I don't remember anything other than the glove.
So you just remember going down for the glove, and that was it?
That was
the
it.
Next thing you know, what happened? You were in the hospital?
No, I woke up in an ambulance.
Oh, wow, what a shocker.
I said, "What happened? Did I have a heart attack or something?" He said, "No, you had a wreck in your boat."
Holy cow.
And so they got me to the hospital and everything else. And
so you never even saw what had happened at that point? You just were you woke up in the ambulance, and was anything broken, or?
I had a concussion.
On your head where you hit that bulkhead?
Where I hit that bulkhead.
Threw you into it.
I had some bruises,
Sure.
From bouncing around, and then they pulled me out.
So you were still in the boat when it came to a stop.
I was lucky.
Oh, you're real lucky. That was a blessing there that you're...
They've got a video of the whole thing.
Who does? Marine Patrol?
Marine Patrol.
They give it to you?
I wasn't interested in seeing it.
Yeah, that would kind of make your stomach turn.
I asked the doctor about it. I said, "I can't remember any of it. I don't remember anything until I was heading to the hospital." He said, "You're lucky."
Yeah, you didn't have to go through that mental part of it. What was the outcome of it? Just they cite you for, do you have all your life jackets or your fishing license? They check that stuff?
They took my boat back over to the boat ramp. They loaded it up for me.
Wow. They probably knew who you were and how much you've done in this area. And
yeah. Well, most of them knew me real good.
Yeah.
In fact,
How does a Marine Patrol know you real good? Is it from?
Well, I did a lot of things for them. Through the CCA, we worked to get them a raise. We worked to get them more people,
I got you. So they knew who it
and
was.
they knew it.
Yeah, and they still need help today. There's really not enough of them if you look at
And
what they
there's-
got. And,
I don't know quite as many as I used to.
yeah, you're the only person I know that took a Carolina Skiff 24 and made it a pickle fork. Whatever happened with that boat? Did you ever put it back together? They fix it?
Insurance company took it,
And that was the end of it.
I seen it afterwards.
Like seeing
Looked
it
like brand new.
Oh, you saw it repaired.
Yeah.
So somebody had owned it. Somebody got it.
There's a guy out here in 92 that repairs boats.
Yeah.
92, you get off the interstate,
Yeah. And he's right down there.
he's right down
And
there.
he ended up with it, bought it from the insurance company
Yeah.
or whatever.
Repaired it. More than enough I wanted it back. I said, no.
Yeah, kind of bad feeling there with it. It's time to let that one go. You saved your life once, and well, I'm sure glad that you're sitting here today with us talking about it. That's for sure.
Yeah, you know, I run boats all my life and never done anything that stupid.
Hydraulic steering or cable steering?
That was cable steering on that.
And that's what happens sometimes.
No, it was hydraulic steering.
Was it? You must have pulled that wheel when you.
I did. They showed it.
Oh, you could see the
Ricky
whole.
went and seen it. And come on their cameras. I went just like this.
As you bent down, you turned right
Yeah,
into it.
Turned
Yeah.
right into it.
Wow. We sure are glad you made it through that, Richard. I don't know what it'd be like without you, because you're a big part of this store. You're a big part of everything, really, in this industry. There's nobody who doesn't know you or doesn't know the name, and you're fishing every day.
Some people didn't like me because of the things that I did. Because I would tell people where the fish were at. And if you were a bad fisherman, I didn't mind taking up a little time and helping you, tell you what you're doing wrong and stuff like that. I've always loved doing that.
Yeah, you've always been good at that and
And
willing
then
to
the
share.
CCA, we used to have the meetings. Well, there's always a second meeting afterwards. You know,
Well, and I always remember when you'd come in the store and we had Bubba's jigs on the shelf, and if a customer had a question, you'd spend whatever time they wanted about how to use that jig, how to pick a color, you know, and all that stuff. You got any of those left? You had to have held on to some of them. Huh?
I've probably got 1,000 of the root beers left. And
Yeah.
I've probably got a couple of hundred
Is that your favorite colors now, root beer?
root beer. I don't use it anymore. You can't use artificial with. I don't know how these guys down south do it. The ones that don't fish with bait. What do you do with the people that don't know how to fish with bait?
Well, and that's one of the.
I mean, with a
Don't know how to fish artificial.
Artificial.
I was in Louisiana like a week or two ago, and we have a popper that we like using, and it's a weighted popper. And you got to use it with something about like you'd use for tarpon, something pretty heavy. So, as you know, you really can't throw that heavy stuff and work it like you could
no.
a small mirror lure. So you got to know how to work it. You basically put the rod in your hip with the tip up and reel as fast as you can, and it showers as it comes in. So I asked the guide, he's a friend of mine, and I'm like, hey, why don't you always have these on the boat? And he's like, be honest with you, Mike, I can't do that with most customers because they don't know how to use that lure.
Yeah.
And you got to have the floating popper so they got time to flip everything over before it gets tight. You know, with a sinking popper, you better be flipping it over before it hits the water, right? You're
Yep.
watching it, and you'd be amazed at how many people cast a line, live bait or dead, I see it all the time, and never watch it.
Now, anybody that fished with me before I started guiding,
Yeah,
52 MS, 52 MG, a 60 MS, a 60 MG. That's a gold and a silver. One's the 52s
Sinker.
sink about 3 to 4 feet.
right.
The 60 will go as deep as you want it to go.
Nothing on top.
7M
Yeah,
mirror lure,
same thing, and that silver flash.
silver.
Yeah, they
So
made
I-
a black and a gold too that Me and Jerry used quite a bit. He turned me on to that color up here.
Yeah.
Downtown area in that brackish water and using those lures and, working at it now. How many days a week do you fish now, Richard?
I've cut it down to 1, maybe 2.
And are they repeat customers? Do you stay pretty booked, or do you have openings where people
Almost all of them
call
are
you?
repeat customers.
And you're still hitting that north end pretty hard most of the time?
I'm going to be honest with you, no.
Yeah.
I'm fishing mainly Gandy Bridge and Franklin Bridge.
Now, talking about fishing now, you'd mentioned when we first started talking about how good it's been over the last year or so, and I know you've been on them snapper. You call in the radio show, and seems like they're all year, where it used to be more of a summertime thing.
Well, they were there before.
Right.
Just nobody knew how to fish for them.
Do you fish for them different in the summer than you do the winter?
A little bit, not.
About the same thing, same areas?
It's about a 1/16 of an ounce weight more.
I got you, getting it down there.
And I took a day and went from the overpass all the way to the west end, going back and forth between every piling all the way.
And that's on both bridges, Gandy and the Howard Franklin?
No, I haven't done the Howard Franklin as good.
You ran that Gandy pretty hard, just looking for that structure?
And every time I seen structure, I hit a button. Now, if somebody's sitting on my hole or next to me, I won't go in there, because the next time I go out there, he'll be there.
Yeah.
So I just find another hole down the way.
And I know I fished with, and I know you remember him, the blind mullet, Captain Henry Edwards. And we'd catch those pompano at the bridge during the summer, and it was a certain piling.
I know.
It wasn't like every single piling. I mean, there was probably 5 of them going over there, maybe 8 of them that we would go to, and normally not have to hit more than a couple of them. But I know you couldn't do it on every one. There was certain spots that held those fish.
That was one thing I never got good at, the pompano fishing.
Yeah.
But the snapper fishing, if I don't limit out, I've had a bad day.
And that's what, 5 per person?
Yeah, 5 per person.
And then you can't catch your limit on a charter.
And I can't
Right.
catch any.
That's one thing I like about Louisiana. Their limits
Theirs and yours.
inshore. Offshore, it's not like that. They don't let you keep those extra snapper if you got a mate and a captain. I tried that, and they told me, no, that don't work. But inshore, we're catching trout and redfish. I was with Brent Ballet, real good guy, fisherman up there, and he had just won a ladies tournament there, and they had done real well. And we went out fishing with them, and we could keep his limit, which is, I think it was 5 redfish per person. And we caught them from, we didn't keep any of the big oversized ones, but we kept some 27s down to 22s and had a great time. They got a great fishery there.
Oh, I've always wanted to go out there, because we lived in Beaumont, Texas. at
Not
one
far
time.
from there. I mean, it's a good run to get to Texas state
But
line on 10.
All you got to do, though, is go out, find some grass, and start throwing, and you don't have to move.
Right.
They're there.
Yeah. That's a good area too. That whole coast right there going down, it's good for trout. And I've been out of Corpus Christi and all them areas north of there. And,
Well, wherever my dad worked, the first thing he went through there and found a house that was on the water.
is that what he did? And then he could fish.
And where my mother caught all those big snook I was telling you about,
Yeah.
if you go out to my brain just quit.
That's all right.
Fort Myers.
Right.
You go out to the Fort Myers beach.
Yep.
You take a left. Well, when you come to that first bridge,
That little bridge.
it wasn't there.
Oh,
That's where the
really?
road used to stop.
Wow. And that's where she caught him?
And that's where she caught all her fish. And one time my grandmother had one on, well, I think it was almost 47, 48 inches. And it was pulling her down to the water. And my mother tried to take it away from her, and she slapped my mother. So my mother got behind her and grabbed her. And then,
What were y'all using? A piece of rope?
no, they used
Dacron line or something?
80, 90, 100-pound Dacron
That's enough to get pulled in the water.
with
isn't
about a 10-out hook, and then mullet.
Whole mullet or cut?
She used to snag the mullet.
I got you.
Oh no, a whole one.
Live or didn't matter?
It didn't matter.
Yeah, and then just
They
weight
would hit the live one.
Free
sometime.
line it, or would you have a weight on there?
Free line.
Yeah, right out there by the passes where the water's
Well,
ripping
right
through.
there. She'd throw it up here and let it drift down. And when it got to here, started going straight out,
It was on.
it was on.
Yeah, that whole south area, I know I've caught a lot of snook over my time, hitting it hard for over 30 years. I fished for them, and some of the best snook fishing is down there south, Boca.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a great fishery here. I love the snook in Tampa Bay. There's just that dark water, and there's excellent areas to catch them and fight them. What's your biggest snook?
44,
And was that caught in Tampa Bay or
double branch.
Double Branch, right in the middle of it, huh?
I tell you, if somebody would take the time and learn that area, double branch, Rocky Creek, and then the two openings in there I call double bayou,
Right.
and then the channel going up to Hillsboro.
Right.
Uh,
They got some park back there.
yeah,
now.
either side of it's real good.
Wonder what that is. Huh. Make sure you get this on video, huh? But all those three creeks right there to work hard, there's plenty of big snook there, you think?
Redfish, snook, mainly redfish.
Now, are those creeks better on a high tide or low tide?
High incoming. I'd say from mid incoming tide to high tide to about a quarter out.
And them redfish are in there good. What's the bait of choice there?
Whatever you want to throw.
And that's where you're working right now? You're up in there working those areas? Or
Well,
are
I
trout
don't-
in there too? Or are they more out on
The
the flat?
trout. But what's nice, if you get in there early, you can see the redfish coming. Because they got to
Nice.
come over a shallow bar.
Oh, wow. Not a lot of pressure up there or what?
No, because it's hard to get into.
Yeah.
Most people can't get in there. Ted Hageman went in there one time fishing a tournament.
Couldn't get out?
Couldn't get out. he had the winning trout, the winning snook, and the winning redfish, and couldn't get out.
Man, that's a bad feeling right there. I've gone back in there with some really skinny boats, and I know when you're going in, the one straight across from the boat ramp is which one?
That's double bayou.
Okay, just to the left of that, there's a nice oyster bar and a sunk boat further down the shoreline there. But you have to hit that, like you said, your best bet in there is getting in on that incoming to where when it tops out, get out of
Because
there.
it's deeper inside.
That's right. You got to get over that bar.
But you get over that bar. I used to just run wide open.
Through the grass flats and tear it all up. Is that what you do?
No, I'm always above the grass.
That's right, with the Bob's Jack plate.
You know, I felt so bad one time. Yeah, this is out of the. They can't come after me now.
Statute of limitation.
I went in, and I went just past the island that sits outside,
Right?
and I set up. So, I seen the redfish coming. As soon as it got a little bit daylight, I seen the redfish coming, and I caught my redfish, and I caught me 3 or 4 trout. I got ready to leave. There was a hunter sitting.
Oh, like a duck hunter.
It's what he was, a duck hunter.
You didn't even know he was there.
I didn't know he was there. I said, why didn't you say something? I could have moved on down. I said, you got 1 or 2 guns? He said, I got 2. I said, load them up. Load both of them up. I'm going to send you a present. So I went back up inside where I knew the ducks were, but way back in there, I went past them. Then I started coming
What do they call that? They call that a push, don't they? Yeah, well, that was a long time ago, though, right?
That was a long, long, long time ago. But I heard the gun start going off, and so I just slapped off of it then. And it sounded like he emptied both guns, and then he was just paused, and he was still shooting.
Wow, you must have got them out of there.
So, yeah, they fly out that canal.
Yeah, they follow the water.
And so I come out, and he says, anytime you want to come fishing when I'm hunting.
Yeah, let me know, and you can push
I
for
said,
me.
the only bad thing about it, if I was you, I'd get out of here.
Time to go. All them shots and the fish cops will be
Well, it's
there.
legal to hunt them.
Oh, I know, but anytime they hear a gun, they're coming to check it out.
Yep.
Normally, you know, you got a lot of houses up there, and I know people are safe, and there's plenty of areas
Well,
to shoot. But
back in that time, there was very few houses up there.
oh, I got you. You know what? I used to like that same creek you're talking about, where you turn to the right there on that island. If you keep going out there across them Australian pines,
Yeah.
there's another creek that can run you
Yep.
out there that a lot of people don't know about. I've gotten to it on a super low tide and go in
Along
there.
them pine trees.
Oh man, big snook.
I mean, I
You
went
didn't
up in
think
the,
I knew that spot, did you, Richard? Said, how in the heck does Mahoney know that one?
I was going to ask you that.
Jerry Williams spot, to be honest with you. He took me over there one winter. He said, hey, we got a low tide. We got to go to the north end. And that's when I really learned it. On a super low tide, we got back in there behind that island. And just when it got deep enough, we came out in front of those Australian pines and just worked that whole edge and caught fish. It's awesome over there. And nobody was over there.
Well, there was somebody parked there the day I come out, and they were catching snook as fast as they could. Well, I come up there with two guys, friends of mine. We all got a snook and we left.
Keepers? Would y'all left and went and hustled them back at the boat ramp? Or y'all?
No, they were all keepers.
Oh, you kept them all?
Yeah.
I didn't think you could keep snook yet.
This was way back when you.
Oh, I thought you were saying last week.
Oh no,
I thought you were going to tell on yourself, Richard.
no, I ain't doing that.
Well, hey, I appreciate you coming out today, Richard.
Well, I enjoy it. I tell you what, I love telling people. I hope somebody has got something out of this, that they're going to catch a fish.
That's right. And if not, listen to us on Saturdays and Sundays. Mike Anderson on Saturday. Richard always calls in. Why don't you give your phone number out, Richard? If somebody
Okay, it's 813-361-8161.
Now, when he answers, you're going to have to yell in the phone because he's a little bit hard of hearing, but he's still there, and he's catching fish daily. Richard, we appreciate you coming out, buddy.
Well, I really enjoyed it. Thank you for inviting me.
Yep, thanks a lot. We'll bring you another weirdo next time.